Welcome everyone to Reco12. My name is Lisa S and I have the disease of alcoholism. We'll begin with a moment's silence followed by the we version of the set aside prayer. Dear God, please set aside anything we think we know about ourselves, about our disease, about the big book, the 12 steps, the program, the fellowship, the people in the fellowship, and all spiritual terms, especially you, God, so that we may have an open mind and a new experience with all these things. Please help us to see the truth. We surrender this next hour to you. Your will, not ours, be done. Amen. So I'm very blessed to be the host of this meeting and podcast that is in the Afro-Euro time zones. I hope that you'll join us and draw strength and hope from these podcasts that we host on Fridays at 8 a.m. UK time. It's 10 a.m. European and South African time. So Reco12 is an organisation with the mission of learning and sharing the similarities of addiction of all kinds and gaining and sharing tools and hope from others who are walking a similar path. We come together from all places, faiths and backgrounds to gain tools and hope from others. Speakers from our past meetings have represented many fellowships, addictions and afflictions, and we look forward to continuing to add to the diversity of speakers and backgrounds. And I hope you'll reach out if you think your experience, strength and hope will benefit this special community. Today's speaker is Andy F, who will be sharing on his experience, strength and hope for around 30 minutes, Andy, but whatever you feel comfortable with, we'll get him to share with us, and then we can follow with some Q&A afterwards. If you do have any questions during the share, you can pop that in the chat. If you want to be anonymous, just put anonymous and I won't read your name out. Or the normal, put your hands up afterwards and you can come in. So the Reco12 family recovery resources continues to grow and has more and more resources for the addict and the loved ones of those addicted. We have all these podcasts on the Reco12 audio library. There's other super exciting projects, one of which is the Big Book Roundtable, which is great. We have David G and Nikki M and Justin B who go through the book line by line. Really great stuff. They've just started a new one where they're diving into the whys. Very eye-opening. Great stuff. Tradition 7. So it is a self-supporting service and we appreciate your help in keeping us working our step 12 in this manner. We gratefully accept one-time contributions through PayPal, Venmo and Wise. Through the links, I'll pop in the chat. It's also in the show notes with the Reco12 on the website. So we also offer a monthly subscription program called Reco12 Spearheads. To join in and help support these cool projects, please consider donating at www.reco12.com/support, or you can click on the link what I'll pop in the chat during the live meeting. We look forward each meeting to growing deeper in effectiveness and understanding as we learn from and with our special speakers. Today, I'm very blessed to have Andy F, who's here, and who's going to share on his experience, strength and hope. And I'm really grateful for your service today, Andy. Over to you, love.
Hey, thank you, Lisa. Hey, guys, my name's Andy and I'm an alcoholic. Lisa, thanks for inviting me, and I see some familiar faces, so thanks for coming along to support. I always start off kicking off with the gratitude I have for this 12-step program. If you saw the Andy before AA and you see the Andy today, you wouldn't say it's the same person. It's two completely different people, and it's all thanks to me getting a big book, getting a sponsor, and following these steps as much as I didn't want to do them. What it was like, it was I'm just trying to think back before AA and the chaos and carnage, and it's all a blur and it's all a mess, and it's yeah, I got myself in some sticky situations, ended up in police cells in everywhere, not just England but abroad on holiday. Lost my license, thrown out of God knows how many places, family homes and stuff. Broken relationships, broken friendships. Yeah, it was a mess. And I remember a family friend. I rely on her a lot, even today. And back then, my sobriety date is December the 23rd, 2016. So this is how much I rely on this lady, because this was back then in 2016 or probably 2015. I was going to her and I was asking her for guidance and support and advice. She was telling me to go to Alcoholics Anonymous. And I felt let down when she said that, because I didn't think I was an alcoholic. Um, the problem was everyone else around me. The problem wasn't me. It was the family. It was the partner. It was I always had someone to blame. It was never my fault. And then she said, go to alcoholic. And I thought, I'm not an alcoholic. My dad's an alcoholic, and I'm not a guy on the park bench. I don't really drink in the mornings unless it's a special occasion. And trust me, I can make a special occasion out of anything. So, um, I just, I just ignored her for a while and done things my own way. And it didn't work. I moved abroad, and I thought I was going to live this really amazing life in a paradise island. The thing is, I got bored and I ended up in casinos, and I didn't end up in casinos to play, even though I did play. I ended up in casinos to drink, because it was the only place to drink, and it was sophisticated. I like to be, I like to drink at fancy places, and I like to buy bottles of champagne and spend stupid money just to try and feel good. And it was a year after I approached this family member, and and I say to her this time, do you still think I need to go to Alcoholics Anonymous? And she said yes. And I asked her to help me book an appointment, because I didn't know how to book an appointment for AA. And then she laughed at me and she goes, you don't have to book an appointment. You Google it and you show up. And that's exactly what I did. I ended up at Leicester Square at 1:30 on a Thursday. And there was a meeting at 3 o'clock. And I didn't have a drink at that time. And I thought, damn it, if I go into this AA meeting sober, you guys ain't going to believe me that I'm an alcoholic, and you guys are going to ask me to leave. I was really naive about Alcoholics Anonymous, had no idea what Alcoholics Anonymous was. So I decided my bright idea was to go to the bar and have 2 shots of tequila, so I'm warmed up for you guys. And there'll be a naughty corner at the back, and I'll sit in the naughty corner with you guys drinking, and I'll have a few drinks with you guys during the meeting, and then I can tell you guys about the bar that I just been to, and we can drink some more. The thing is, them 2 shots of tequila that I told myself that I would have turned into 13 shots of tequila. And I made this meeting, and I walk into this meeting and everyone's sober, and I see everyone glowing. There's something different about there's something different about you guys. And I told myself, God damn it, Andy, you've done this all wrong. No one in here is drunk. There's no naughty corner. The best thing I can do right now is sit down, shut up, and listen. And that's exactly what I did. And I heard this guy who was just a general old Joe, just a standard bloke. Morning, Dan. Morning, Nicola. It was just let's just call him an average Joe, sharing experience strength and hope. You know, he shared his carnage. He said he's ended up in a squat. And he came into AA and got a sponsor and he done these 12 steps and his life's changed and he's got his own little business and he's got his own little place. And I thought, wow, you know, just that sold it to me. And I'm looking at these scrolls on the wall and I'm taking them off in my head. And I see step 5 and I'm like, right, I'm going to go see the priest on the weekend. I'll do confession because that's what step 5 sounds like. And I was really looking forward to step 9 because I recently split up with my ex. And I was always looking for reasons and excuses to try and contact her, to try and keep touch. And I thought, great, step 9, I can tell her, babe, I'm in AA. I need to make an amends to you. Do you fancy going Nando's? And I can make an amends to you, and maybe I can rekindle something and get something back. So the first time I ever done these steps, it took me about 30 seconds and I'd done them by myself on my first meeting, 13 shots of tequila in. This is how naive I was about Alcoholics Anonymous. At the end of the meeting, the guy that saved my life approaches me and he says, "Are you new? This must have been his home group." And I said, "Yeah, it's my first meeting." And he invites me out for coffee. I don't know if you remember me saying, but I was thinking about the guys in the naughty corner and pointing them back to the bar that I just come from. And this guy's inviting me for coffee. And I'm like, God damn it, he's inviting me for coffee. He's going to try and hit on me. And I need to tell him no. Trying to get back on my ex, but thanks. But something inside me just said, like, and I know it was divine intervention today. I just said, just go for the coffee. And I went for the coffee with him. And he started explaining to me what Alcoholics Anonymous was. He started telling me if I really wanted to get sober, and then the weird word came in. You know, do you believe in a higher power? For someone that hasn't got a clue about Alcoholics Anonymous, you know, what the hell's a higher power? And I asked him, what's a higher power? And he goes, you believe in God. And I saw God in the scroll, so I knew there was something to do with God in this AA stuff. But I kind of just rolled my eyes over it and skimmed past it, the God stuff, and then I explained to him my situation with God, and it was like I was really desperate to believe in God because I wanted God's blessings. You know, all these famous people and celebrities, and when they make their speeches, they always say, "Oh, I want to thank God and my family and stuff like that." And I'm like, well, I want to be in that position where I can say, "I want to thank God. I want these blessings." But instead, my relationship with God at that time was me waking up with a hangover and getting flashbacks of what happened the night before and questioning, was it a dream? Was it a dream? And then more flashbacks come in and it's like, God damn it, it wasn't a dream. It really did happen. Now I need to suffer these consequences. And I need to make excuses how to point it as it was your fault and not mine. Then I end up having a conversation with myself in the mirror and God, and I'm like, God, why did you make me do this again? You know, why aren't you blessing me? And then I'd come with these great ideas. Right, I'm going to buy another bottle of another bottle of vodka today. I'm going to drink a liter, and nothing's going to go wrong. So I can prove everyone wrong that it weren't the drinking, it weren't me, and it was them, and I could never do it. And I'd always blame God for not being able to control my alcohol. So that was my relationship with God when his name was Johnny. When I went for coffee and with Johnny this day, my first meeting. And he goes, don't worry about that. And, you know, as long as you've got a starting point, you believe in something greater than yourself. I was like, cool. And then he told me to go to a meeting the next day. And I didn't know I had to go to a meeting. I thought I just had to do one AA meeting and I could call up my ex and try and get back, you know, go Nando's, sort out Nando's and get on with my life. So I go to this next meeting and he tells me to get a big book and a Just for Today card. And I end up at this meeting. And he says, get there 20 minutes early. I did that. I got there 20 minutes early, and it's full of people there already. And all these strangers are approaching me saying, "Are you Andy? Johnny told me you were coming. Are you Andy? Johnny told me you were coming." I'm like, wow. Like, this fellowship, man. Like, Johnny didn't come. He had a commitment, but he messaged people from this group saying that there's a newcomer coming. And these people that he messaged were watching out for this newcomer to come in, and they all approached me saying, "Are you Andy? Welcome. What's your number?" You guys welcomed me with open arms, and it's unbelievable how welcoming and supported you guys made me feel. And then I mentioned Johnny told me to get the book, and this literature section has three different books for me. And it's the hardback, it's the softback, and it's the pocket one. And you guys already know which one I picked. I picked the little pocket one because it looked easier, it was smaller, and I'd rather watch a movie than read a book, right? So I picked the pocket one, and I get the Just for Today card. That Just for Today card is so powerful and so beautiful. And I'm on the tube home, and I've got this book in my hand, and I'm like, I really don't want to read this book. How am I gonna scam Johnny and tell him that I've read this book? And my idea was to go on Google and Google Alcoholics Anonymous the movie and watch the movie, and then tell Johnny, "Yeah, I've read the book. This happens." Before I could do any of this, Johnny tells me, "Andy, I just want you to read 2 pages a day, starting from the doctor's opinion." And I am amazing at justifying things so I can do things my way, but I could not justify not reading 2 pages. And I opened the book that evening, and I read 2 pages of the doctor's opinion. And my eyes opened up a little bit. Then I read another 2 pages, and my eyes opened up a little bit more. Then I got into Bill's story, and this is all on the same day. I was only asked to read 2 pages. And I think I was 2 pages in Bill's story, and plus the doctor's opinion. I just came to the realization, and I told myself, "God damn it, Andy, you're an alcoholic. You can't leave this program. You need to keep coming back. I need to stay with you guys." I didn't want to be in there. I didn't want to stay with you guys. I just wanted some luck. I wanted to get back with my ex. I didn't want to get the blame for everything because I was messing everything up. But this book was telling me things about myself that I didn't know, but I knew, if that makes any sense. Like drinking for the effect, the phenomenon of craving. You know, I went in for 2 shots of tequila, and the phenomenon of craving kicked in, and I ended up having 13. And why? Because I was drinking for that effect. I was learning about myself through this book, things that I didn't really know about myself, but it was me. This book was written in the 1930s.
Got questions about addiction, recovery, or just life in general? Let's noodle it out together. Grab your big book, a pen, a highlighter, and a notepad, and join Nikki M and me, Justin B, on Reco12 Noodle It Out with Nikki M. Each episode, we take real-life questions, ours, yours, and those from the recovery community, and dig deep into the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous to find real, practical solutions. So, if you're ready to do the work and apply the solution, tune in to Noodle It Out with Nikki M, streaming now on your favorite podcast platform.
And I go through these steps. And I'm 2 weeks in, so I'm probably on step 2 or 3 to being 2 weeks in, and I see this guy with 2 years sobriety. 2 years sobriety is huge, you know, for someone that's 2 weeks in. It was huge anyway. 2 weeks is huge. And I challenged him. So I thought 2 years. And I said, how do you know you're never going to drink again? You know, this AA stuff, you know, how do you know you're never going to drink again? And he goes, Andy, I don't know that. I don't know that I'll never drink again, but I tell myself I'm not going to drink today. I might drink in 2 weeks' time, but I'm not going to drink today. And when he told me that, that was enough for me to use until I completed the steps, until I got my spiritual awakening, until I got my psychic change, which is when I lost that desire and when them thoughts just, how does it say in the step 10 promises? You know, you recoil from it as a hot flame. You know, I can do that today. And I can tell you the thoughts can still come in today. I'm probably in the last month, the thought of having a drink came in, but literally it just comes in and goes back out again. And I do these steps and I got a spiritual awakening and I found a really good relationship with God. I was doing morning prayers, I was doing evening prayers, and then I got my year sobriety. And that's when I started resting on my laurels. I thought I completed Alcoholics Anonymous. I've done the steps. I've got a year sobriety. I've clocked this game. I've got this. And you know when you're on a flight and it gets turbulent? And I've never walked a tightrope, but it felt like walking a tightrope as well. That's how it felt like when I stopped working this program, when I stopped showing up to meetings. I was only going to meetings where my friends were going to a good coffee shop after where we could have a laugh, because I actually made real friends here. You know, I've made friends here and people that I want to see again. So I'd go to the meeting just to see my friends. I wouldn't come to the meeting for recovery. Go to the meeting, see my friends, go for coffee, have a laugh. My service commitment stopped. Didn't pick up new ones. And I was probably 18 months or 2 years sober, and I was waking up in the morning and I was, instead of doing my usual prayers, you know, before my usual prayers, I'd be like, God, why did you wake me up for? Don't want to be here anymore. The dream that I was in was much better than this reality that I'm living. And why? Because I wasn't using my old solution, which was picking up a drink or picking up a substance. And I'm not using my current solution that I should be using, which is the 12 steps. I need one or the other. I need a solution. And I spoke to my sponsor about this and I said, I feel like I'm walking a tightrope. And instead of him comforting me and saying, don't worry, Andy, everything's going to be okay, the guy laughs at me. And he says, what do you think you should do about it? And I said, he goes, what does your conscience say? He never gave me the answers to anything. He always told me, what does your conscience say? And at that moment, my conscience told me when I was next to him somewhere in Tottenham Court Road, and I said, I need to do what I was doing before. I need to work this program. I need to show up. And he made me, he didn't make me, but he suggested that we open a meeting. And we opened a late night meeting in Soho at 11 p.m. on a Saturday night, in the middle of all that carnage where all the nightclubs are on and everyone's going out drinking. And there's a little AA meeting going on at 11 p.m. in Soho, right next door to Tottenham Court Road Station at the Recovery Centre, if you guys know it. And we done that for a couple of years until COVID kicked in, and we've stayed on Zoom since then. And that's what I've done. I've plugged myself back into service. I've got into big book studies. I love this book today. Guys, I'm the guy that didn't want to read the book. I had no interest in reading this book. I wanted to Google the movie. And I go to big book studies. I don't even know how many big book studies I go to. I go to about 3-4 a week. And it don't matter what page I'm on, the cycle doesn't have to start at the beginning. You know, whatever big book study I show up at, and if I'm on page 63, it's because God wants me to be on page 63 today. And if I'm on the doctor's opinion the next day, it's because God wants me on the doctor's opinion the next day. And I keep doing this and I keep showing up to service. I'm in my 10th year of sobriety, and I will say that I go to meetings that I don't want, that I don't want to go, like, I can't be bothered. But I show up because I got service, and once I'm there, I know there's a reason why I've showed up for. You know, this stuff saves me. Me showing up today at 8 a.m. on my 2 weeks Easter holiday from the school run. This stuff saves my life. I love Alcoholics Anonymous. I love the 12 steps. Getting this connection with God that I'm always learning from. You know, back when Andy got the year sober, Andy thought he knew everything about God. Oh, God's my best friend. God's going to give me everything I want. Don't have to pray today. I had a great spiritual experience yesterday. Don't have to pray today. I've had a great spiritual experience last week. Don't have to pray today. I had a great spiritual experience a month ago. And then life hits me in the face. I'm like, God, where are you? Hang on a minute. God didn't leave me. I left God because I had a great spiritual experience last month. I stay God conscious now, 24/7. When I'm driving, I'm thinking with God. When I'm speaking, I'm asking God to speak through me. In my experience, this is all a learning experience. I'm never gonna know everything. I'm never gonna have all the answers. There's a Q&A after this, apparently. Most of my answers is probably gonna be, what does your conscience tell you? That's what my sponsor would tell me. I love this program. I love the people that I've met. I love service, and being of service in this fellowship has taught me to be of service in the real world. I don't even know if this is the real world. So I think I'm just a spiritual soul in a three-dimensional body living a three-dimensional life right now. It's the way I think of it, and it's my soul and reality together. And this is in my brain, so if someone upsets me on the road, I'm getting upset with reality. It's not my soul. So I always need to think through my soul, not think through my reality. And what's my soul, and what am I trying to explain is that I do my best to live by the spiritual principles that are expressed in this big book: love, tolerance, forgiveness, patience, harmony, peace. I don't get it all the time, you know, so someone can annoy me, but the best thing I can do is pause. Just pause for a little bit. Pause for a minute or two. Pause for a few seconds. Sometimes it takes more than an hour. Sometimes it could take up to a day before you get that pause and you're like, whoa, yeah, actually, I'm stuck in reality. I need to go back into my soul again. You know, maybe an easier way to explain I'm stuck in reality is I'm stuck in my ego. I need to start thinking spiritually again. It can take anything up to a second to there's no ending until you get it, until you connect. What else can I say? Even if I got everything that I ever wanted, I would have still fallen short because God had a better plan for me. I heard that and I reflected on it. Even if I got everything I ever wanted, I would have still fallen short because God had a better plan for me. That just keeps me on God's path. That keeps me away from Andy's path. My path don't work. My path makes me end up saying that I'm just going to have 2 shots of tequila and I end up having 13 shots of tequila. My path destroys relationships. My path puts me in police cells in Croatia where I'm using a hole in the floor to urinate. Yeah, my ideas don't really work, but my ideas with God do work. And then we come to the dilemma of the good wolf and the bad wolf. And the bad wolf's talking to me and dressed up as the good wolf. And no, Andy, this is, it will be fine. You can get away with this. You can do this. And it's dressed up as my good wolf. So I'm believing it. I'm like, yeah, like that temptation. And I'm justifying it. So I'm justifying it as it's the good wolf. And it's the good wolf talking to me, not the bad one. And I asked someone this, how do I know which? Because there's in my head anyway, there's the good outcome and there's the tricky outcome. Which one are you going to pick? And I said, which one do I believe? Which one's the right path? And it was told to me that which one creates harmony and love and which one creates chaos and confusion. Pick the one that creates harmony and love and avoid the one that creates chaos and confusion. That's how you can identify what it is. Because my bad wolf can dress up as the good wolf and it can sell me bad ideas and make me believe that it's a good idea. That's an easy way to identify it. A couple minutes left. What's the other quote? Even if, no, I've said that one. Alcoholics Anonymous or a 12-step recovery program might not open the gates of heaven and let me in. I still live in challenges today. Everything doesn't go Andy's way, but maybe that's a good reason. I can still struggle today. But one thing I can tell you what Alcoholics Anonymous and these 12-step recovery programs have done for me, it's opened the gates of hell and it's let me out. I'm not in that chaos. I'm not in that madness. And even if I do fall in a bit of that chaos, I can get that pause. I can ask God, please help me, I still ask God for help. I still ask God for guidance. Don't really know what God is, but I know God is. There is something there. Even if it's just me manifesting God, there is something there. Yeah, if you guys are new, just keep coming back, get yourself a book, read 2 pages a day, get a Just for Today card. That saved my life. I love that Just for Today card. And even though I maybe never ticked all the boxes in that just for Today card, my intention was there to tick all the boxes of what that Just for Today card says. Go with the flow. You build your own fellowship that you crave, and it says that in the book, and you'll get it. Stay connected, show up to meetings. Just showing up to meetings ain't well, in my experience. It won't make me a recovered alcoholic. I need to work this program. Showing up to meetings is a big part of my sobriety. Doing service is a big part of my sobriety. And it's not only doing service in AA, but it's doing service outside in the real world. I think I'll leave it there, guys. Lisa, thanks once again for inviting me to share.
Oh, thank you so much, Andy. I really loved listening to you. Do you know what opened my eyes then when, and I smirked because when you said about your sponsor saying about what does your conscience say? And it's so true, isn't it? Because if I'm relying on my sponsor or anybody else for the answers, we know no human aid will keep us sober. It has to come from that power, our higher power, what I call God. And that's our real reliance. And so that made me smile. And I also loved when you said about, you just reminded me of the Just for Today card. And do you know what? To be fair, I don't read it every day, but I always remember one thing on that. And that was that do something kind for someone without letting anyone having to broadcast it. You know, the times I was always so selfish that even when I thought I was being kind, it was really about me again, because I wanted everyone to know that I'd done this really great thing for someone. So I love that. That's a great, I'm going to dig mine out. Yes, because there's some really good stuff on there. So thank you. If anyone now wants to come in and ask any questions, or if you want to pop the question in, I will look at the chat to make sure if there is. Oh, we have young Dan who's put, Andy, what's your conscience tell you?
Love you, Dan.
So I think you sort of answered that, Dan. Simon, do you want to come in, love?
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Lisa. Thanks for hosting the meeting, Lisa. Thanks, everyone for the service. And thanks, Andy, for a great chat. You talk about your God conscience. And I've come to know now that I've always had that. But it was very quiet, almost like a whisper. So I never, ever listened to it. So my question is to you, out of our spiritual toolkit, what we got from this book, what do you think was the most influential in building a better relationship and expanding on that God conscience, what you have, and making it heard? Thanks.
Hey Spearheads, if you're looking to dive deeper into the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous with people who live the solution, then you won't want to miss Reco12 Big Book Roundtable. Join David G., Nikki M., and me, the moderator Justin B., 3 recovered addicts from multiple fellowships, as we break down the big book line by line. In each 30-minute episode, we share our experience, strength, and hope in a real, raw, and practical roundtable discussion. So, if you are ready to learn and apply what you learn, tune in to Reco12 Big Book Roundtable on your favorite podcast platform.
It was getting into a routine of prayer and mainly prayer in the mornings and in the evenings, and learning to think with God, and then it will grow like a flower, I guess. You know, you plant the seed, and little by little it will grow. And doing these steps, step 3, step 10, 11, and 12, it grows like a flower. I mean, in like you said in the beginning, it's a seed, it's a whisper, you know. But sticking to it, doing it continuously, it will grow and grow and grow, and that's what I'm experiencing. Right now it feels good, but I'm pretty sure I've got a lot more to grow as well, and I just need to continue doing what I'm doing so the flower of my God consciousness can continue to grow. I hope that helped in some form.
Yeah, that's brilliant, Andy. Thank you very much.
Oh, thanks, Simon. Thanks, Andy. Shannon, come in, love.
Thank you for the meeting, Lisa, and everyone making it possible. I'm Shan, and I'm an alcoholic. Lovely to see you, Andy. I went on Nikki Noodle and it had Andy F. I thought there's only one Andy F. And, it's a pleasure and a blessing to say that, you're a massive part of my sobriety, even if we don't see each other every day. I met you at conventions and, know of your family personally, and it's an absolute honour. And the service you do is just, implicable. It's just remarkable. And I love your sobriety. Like Dan said, I'd never get bored of listening to you. And that God conscious, today I understand the relationship with my God. And it was only not long ago. I mean, on the 28th, I'll be 7 months and total abstinence. That's gone quick. And I thought for 8.5 years I went back out there, and I thought I was at chapter 5. And you never ever give up on me. You never judge me. Just, you was one of them souls that kept me going. And today I rang my sponsor and, I went round my mum's, and I was aware of my mum not being in a fit spiritual condition and having the isms, but not drinking. And my reaction was, she went, well, why do you? And I'm like, why not? And I thought, no. So I'm aware of my, because of my toothache and me being not in a fit spiritual condition. But then when I came, he said, are you doing your morning prayers? Are you doing your readings? I went, no. And that's why. That is simply why. Today, this morning, I woke up, I'd done my 86 to 88, I'd done my step 3 prayer. Am I willing to give my life over to the care of God? Yes, I am. But when I give him the power, and I get powerless, that's when the power comes, because I ain't got to do nothing. It's God's will, not my will. I want to be as selfless as I can. Let me do your bidding today. And ask for my defects of character to be removed. I've got a lot coming on. I mean, right at this moment, in this time, I'm right here with you in the moment. And it's beautiful. And that's how I need to stay and do my practical stuff that I've got to do today. I ain't had much sleep. My teeth are hurting, and I've just got to put the one foot in front of the other, And when I ask God for, give me the courage, I realised today, he don't give me the courage, but he gives me the opportunity to be courageous. You know what I mean? God, please help me do this. God, don't do it for me, but he gives me the opportunity to do it. I have to put the work in. This is what I'm starting to realise. Without God, I am nothing. God is everything, or God is nothing. And I did, when they said, give your life over to God, as you understand, God, come down, get this, take it away from me. I really didn't know, and it takes time. Like you said, that flower grows. It just grows and grows. That seed was planted on that first meeting. I felt it. I mean, I just didn't talk for 2 years. I just cried with that incomprehensible demoralisation, and then I was in and out for 2. Without a sponsor, then I got a sponsor, and it's just grown. Nothing was wasted. I don't question why, if, when, should I, would I, could I. Just right today, one day at a time, a daily reprieve. That's all I have. If I remember that, and my head's so smooth, it's so peaceful, And I'm not saying it ain't difficult, but with these difficult, I realise all my troubles, then, now, and so on, is and will be my own makings. I have a choice today to be happy, joyous and free. When they used to say all that, the best is yet to come, happy, joyous and free, and that just for today, God. Always remember that bit where it says dress appropriately. I'm in my dressing gown, speak low, I'm speaking as loud as anything, I'm like, and also do a couple of things, and I do love doing that. I done the other day, just people, and they was freezing cold, and I jumped out and I went in the shop. They went in the car, I went, where you going? They went, Holloway Road. I thought, I've heard that. And I've lived here 20 years. It was my road, like the road here off my... I said, all right. And then they went left. They was 2 minutes from my house. I thought, thanks, God. I didn't have a lot of petrol. I didn't know where they was going. They could have went fucking miles away. I went, quick, jump in, I'll take you. I mean, I'm telling yous now, but them silly little things, not just inside the fellowship, outside as well. Practice these principles in all my affairs. it's a pleasure and an honour to have you in my life. I love you, and I hope all the family's well. God bless you, Andy. Sorry I've gone on, but I just love you so much. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, everyone, for being here.
Thank you, Shannon. Yeah, do you know what, Andy, when you said about it, at first we try and find the easier ways, and then when you started doing the steps, was there any of the steps, because they tell us to go to any lengths, don't they? Was there anywhere you were like trying to hold back and find the easier way? Was there one particular or more steps what you did struggle with? What did that look like for you?
Probably be the same as everyone, 4 and 9. There was a couple of things I didn't want to write in step 4, and evidently I became scared to do the amends to my ex that I was really looking forward to doing on day 0 when I first saw step 9. But handing it over to God. It's in God's hands. What have I got to lose? I've got nothing to lose, and everything to gain by doing this experience of the 12 steps. There's no point doing 12 steps if you're not going to do it as it's meant to be done. Got nothing to lose. I can get my misery back, right, if it doesn't work. So I put my trust in the program. I put my trust in God, and I put everything on step 4. I didn't leave anything out. And step 9, I did make the approach to the ex, and I didn't get a response back, and that's how it's been left. I'm not going to disturb anyone. I'm not going to keep poking someone. I'm not going to force an amends. Oh, I need to make an amends to you. If I'm not getting any contact back, that's the message. I was willing to make the amends. And in reality, I've made the amends by changing. There's a living amends that we make, and the amends is us changing. That's the best we can do. Keep growing.
I love that. And I guess, a lot of people say that they don't like steps 4 and 9, but like with all of it, the reward, because it is a bit uncomfortable, with the writing of self-searching and stuff, and then the amends, but the reward after is so much greater and worthwhile, isn't it? And
the relief is unreal.
Yeah, and it's such a weight and such a beautiful feeling once you have completed it. I mean, it's an ongoing process. I'm doing many step 4s and step 9s as we go along, but it is, and like you said, anything, like you said, when you don't want to do a meeting and you think, and I do it all the time, but then when I do any self-sacrifice I do, the more spiritual reward I get after, like with the steps 4 and 9. It's beautiful. And what does your step 10 and 11 look like, Andy, on a daily basis? And like with everything, I guess it grows over time. Coming up 10 years, wow, what an inspiration. And how has it your program changed, how like your daily practice throughout? Has it evolved? Obviously we grow, don't we, and improve, but what does it look like today for you?
Hey Reco12 Spearheads, if our recovery resources have helped you, please consider a donation. Your financial support, as well as your word of mouth support, keeps Reco12 running and reaching the man who is still sick. Donate today at reco12.com/support or check the show notes for PayPal and Venmo links. Every contribution helps carry the message. Thanks for being a Reco12 Spearhead.
It's staying. I think Shannon said it. It's staying in the moment, staying in the present, staying in the right now, staying God conscious, or as much as possible. And if I swerve into Andy's lane, just try and get that pause so I can swerve back into God's lane. Even if I got everything that I ever wanted, I would have still fallen short because God's got a better plan for me. You know, what causes harmony and love and what causes chaos and confusion. Keeping it simple with these little things, acceptance and gratitude. I had a conversation with an old timer a couple of years ago, and he says, Andy, if you have a cup of gratitude in one hand and a cup of acceptance in another hand, you've got no hands to pick up a drink. And I've got no hands to make a mess as well. So yeah, try and be grateful, try and be... not everything's going to go my way. Yeah, I'm going to get lucky days, and yeah, I'm going to get days that don't go my way, but I accept it and I stay grateful. And going back to what you touched on previously as well with, I think you called it a reward or the spiritual effect that you get after 4 and 9. And I tell people this when they're worried about something. The thought of fear, the thought of doing something which is becoming fearful is much more fearful than actually doing it. Once you've done it, you're like, oh, it wasn't that scary after all. It was, what was I worrying about? So me predicting something in the future which is fearful is much more fearful than me actually doing it. Shannon said it again, hand it over to God. It's in God's hands. Yeah, I can only do my best, and I put my hands up to the challenges in my life. God, it's yours. Yeah, I hope that answered something.
Yeah, no, I love that, and that just prompted me. And when you were saying, it's not reality, and that's when you just said, then the fear, isn't it? We make this fear up I make this fear up in my head, and it's not even real. I'm just drifting off into what ifs all the time. And like you beautifully said about it, and Shannon, it's about staying in that present moment as much as possible, because when I drift off, that's when I'm not in reality. So I loved it when you said that. And I guess that's the beauty of coming when they say we've now entered the world of the spirit, and this is, human experiences. I was going to ask you as well, I think you touched on it a bit, that when you do today, Andy, when you do face low spots and, not if, where, not when it is going to, happen. What do you do today when, trials and life gets lifey?
Go back to the basics where I should be always. When life gets life, you show up to a meeting, go to my fellowship, go to the support, keep in prayer, pray to God, trust God, say, God, I trust, it's getting lifey, but I trust you. Let's put my life in a book, and I'm on page 77. God, page 77 right now is today, and it's really bad, but I trust that page 78 is going to be better. God, it's in your hands. God, you're writing my book. I don't know what page 78 or page 79 says, but I trust that it's going to get better. Show up, go to a meeting, connect with fellows, help someone. Take my attention off myself and put my attention onto someone else that I can help. Keep it very simple. Keep it back to these basics. There's no no length of sobriety changes the program. The program stays the same. Whether you're a week in or you're 20 years in, the program is still the same. Stick to the program.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. It is that triangle, always going back to that, isn't it? I guess, right, you know, keep it simple, as a lovely friend of mine says a lot. Did you have another question, Shannon, or?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, yeah, Andy always learned me. I remember, I'll never forget it, what you just asked, Lisa. You know, no matter what the situation is, you know, I had horrific situations with my daughter, and that fear that Andy said, you know, it's more fearful thinking about it. You know, he used to say, just go through the fear, you know, and you'll get to the love and you'll get to the solution. And I just couldn't get through it. That fear was just, you know, consuming my whole self. And then he used to say, I say, but why am I, why? He goes, Shan, you don't have to know why. Just trust the process. And see that, I never forget what Andy said. And I do. So even if something's going on and it's so bad, I don't have to know why. All I've got to do is trust the process. 3 months, 6 months, I go, do you know what? That's why that had to happen to get me where I am today. And that does get me through. And Andy, I'm trying to like really, really stay in a step 10, you know, continue to take my personal imagery and my selfish, self-centered, dishonest, you know, inconsiderate, you know, fearful. You know, that fear consumes me, you know, but I have to keep. It does become a working part of the mind. You're right. It comes in you. It becomes part of you. But then sometimes, you know, I'm a human being and it goes off. So I'm just pause, like when you said pause and think, agitate, pause and then just bring it back to the moment and think, I am powerless. I am right here, right now. This is where God wants me. You know, keep it simple. All them things just. So I'm really trying to practice that step 10. And I think, I don't know if it was Lisa or someone said, and I might do so and think, you know, I'm helping others and that, but what is my motives? Even if it is saying kind, you know, really, I want my mum to love me and to do that. So I'm doing something good for my mum, but I want something out of it still. I'm still being selfish, even if I want something good. It's so hard to get out of self and just let God be in charge. But when I am, it is the most peaceful place I've ever been. I wouldn't be anywhere else in this world. What this fellowship, the friendship, the love, you know, them people that keep me going, Andy, is just... Yeah. Yeah, I'm so grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon. So thanks again. That was a great Reco12 speaker meeting for all addicts and their loved ones. If we didn't get to your question or if you have any other questions, please consider joining our WhatsApp community by sending an email to reco12pod@gmail.com and joining our community and ask those questions. If you'd like to be a future speaker on Reco12 Afro-Euro, please send an email to the same address, reco12pod@gmail.com. And if you've not yet rated and reviewed the podcast in Apple Podcasts, please go do so now. It's a great way to work step 12 in sharing this message with others. So we're now hand over to you, Andy, to lead us out on a prayer of your choice. Thanks, Andy.
Thank you, Lisa. Just a brief moment of silence for those suffering inside and outside of these rooms, and then we'll kick off with the Serenity Prayer. Let's feel God inside of us, in our hearts and our conscience. Using the word God as you understand it. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Thy will, not mine, be done.
So there is
Thank
one
you, Lisa.
Thank you, Andy. There is
Thank
one
you,
who
brother.
has all power. That one is God. May you find God now. Stick and stay, guys. And when you do, come all the way in, sit all the way down. Let's trudge this road of happy destiny together. Work it. You are worth it.